You're watching another great interview on Audio Inc. Radio. What is up? It's Anne Erickson with Audio Inc. Radio. If you're new here, welcome. It's great to have you. And please subscribe. Also give this video a big thumbs up. The amazing Gilby Clarke is our guest. He has a brand new record out, The Gospel Truth. Let's get inked.
Hey everybody, this is Gilby Clarke, and you are watching Audio Inc. Radio with Anne Erickson.
How are you?
And I'm fantastic. I'm very, everything's going well right now. I know it's been a rough year for all of us, but starting to right the ship.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, how has this past year been? It's been just so crazy for the music industry and people in general.
Well, I think in the beginning, we were in unknown territory, so nobody really knew where it was going, what was happening and stuff. And it was hard because, us musicians, we lost our income, we lost everything, so it is hard. It's still hard, but, every now and then you got to get tested, and we just got tested, this is a battle. But, things are going to get better. Hopefully some good stuff will come from this. We'll have to see, but made it through unscathed. I'm still in my house. I still got my motorcycle. I got a couple guitars and my wife and daughter. I'm okay.
Well, and you also have a new record, The Gospel Truth, which I love this album. It's just got this like rock and roll real vibe to it. So congrats on the new record. This is your first record in about 2 decades. It's been solo. So what made now the right time to release it?
Well, that's a big question and I have a lot of answers. So I never consider myself a solo artist. It's like it was just something I did when I wasn't doing other things. It was nice because it gave me that outlet, to make a record, to do some live dates, things like that. So it got to a point where I didn't think I really needed to make a record. My live dates were doing fine. All the traditional outlets of record companies and radio and all that stuff, didn't really exist. So I was kind of in that frame of mind that why do I need to make a record? My fans are still there. And then one day I ran into a friend of mine at the very last Motley Crue show and we were talking on this subject and he kind of like straightened my shit out. He just goes, "Do you consider yourself an artist?" I go, "Absolutely." He goes, "Well, what are you creating?" And I kind of went, "Oh yeah, he's kind of right." He kind of called me on my bullshit. So I started going, you know what? He's right, man. I do like recording. I do like writing a record. This is stupid. So I started getting the ball rolling. And that's really what happened. Just got the ball rolling. What's great about being a solo artist is I don't have to just use one drummer, one bass player. I can call all my friends and have 5 different drummers, 5 different bass players, a keyboard player, horns, background singers. We really made it a party making this record. And I think it sounds that way too. I think it's a fun rock and roll record. It's not depressing. It's upbeat. It sounds like fun.
I agree. And actually, one of your friends is Nikki Sixx, who appears on the record. Tell me about your friendship with him.
I have known Nikki since before Motley Crue. I'm not going to go too far back, but I've known Nikki a long time. And we've been friends over all the years. When I was doing the Pawn Shop Guitars record, Motley was recording with John Corabi, that record. We're at the same studio. So we hung out a lot during that process. And I wanted to get Nikki on the record then, but they were making the record, they were mixing, they just kind of got busy. So when it came time to do this record, we had gone out to dinner one night. It was myself and my wife, Nikki and his wife, and Billy Gibbons and his wife. And we were talking about music, and when you're in a conversation with Billy Gibbons, you usually just shut up and listen because he's got the best stories. So as we were talking, somehow it got around to me recording and stuff. And I brought Nikki back to it like, dude, I'm making a record. You got to get on it, and that's how it kind of happened. But to have Nikki Sixx and Stephen Perkins of Jane's Addiction on the same song, to me, is a big win.
Absolutely. And Tightwad is actually my favorite track on the record.
Oh, thank you. It's one of my favorites too.
Awesome. Tell me a little about kind of the meaning behind that song.
Wow. Well, that's a hard one. I think in the world, we're all different people. There are some people that don't care about money, that, if you don't have money, you make more. There are some people that are just, they feel they don't want to be taken advantage of, and there are some people just tight, they just it's their money and nobody gets it, and watch every penny. So anyway, I've just kind of been observing that over the last couple of years, kind of like when you're with the guys and, we're on a motorcycle ride and the bar tab comes up, and it's always fun to watch how you split up that tab and how some people, just throw in the money and don't care whether they get changed, and somebody that's, got a calculator out. So that's really what that song is about. It's just about, and to me, it's a humorous look at that idea. I'm not pointing fingers or anything. It's just kind of like, it's kind of a funny situation when it comes up at the bar.
That's awesome. So what was the biggest challenge to recording and putting the record out during the pandemic?
Well, actually, number one, the record was done before the pandemic. We held it back. We were going to release it like the month that the pandemic started. So we decided to hold it off. So we didn't have any challenges as far as the pandemic. My challenge I had is schedules, because all these guys are pretty well-known fellas and they work a lot. So just trying to get them in town and get our schedules together is always the hardest thing. It's been kind of nice in the last year that we're all kind of available, but before that was the hardest thing, was getting everybody on the same page the same day.
The music industry has changed just so much over the years. What was the biggest difference for you releasing a new record now versus years ago?
Wow. Well, first of all, back then, there was a team for everything. There's a team for radio. There was a team for publicity. There was a team for marketing. There was your A&R staff who watched over you, as well as with your manager and stuff. I mean, teams. You had teams doing things. It's not just one person. You had a team of people, so you had a lot of different opinions. You didn't have to just rely on one person's opinion. So I think that is a big challenge. But I also think that the people that made it through all these changes are the good ones. The ones that stuck around, they're the good ones.
So it worked out in the end.
Yeah, exactly.
You were part of one of the most exciting times in music, in my opinion, the 80s and the early 90s. I'm wondering, what do you most remember about that period in music history?
I think what I remember the most was it was fun. It was a fun job. We all have our jobs and we don't always go to work with a smile on our face. I went to work every day with a smile on my face. I really feel, I can honestly say, I was living the dream. It was such a great time, because anyone you ran into and they go, "Oh, what band are you in?" "Oh, Guns N' Roses." "Oh, I know who they are." It was easier, but yeah, it was just kind of a magical time. Everybody kind of liked the same kind of music. Rock was big. It was important too. Music, that kind of music was important. It employed a lot of people, made a lot of money for a lot of people. So it was important. Obviously, landscapes change, music changes. It would be boring if it stayed the same forever. I'm happy to have those memories. I be honest, I don't need to relive them. I remember some of it, not all of it.
You remember the good parts.
Yeah, I hope so. Every now and then I run into Matt Sorum and he's got such a great memory. I go, "We really did that?"
When grunge kind of took over in the early 90s, was it as sudden as everyone says? They almost make it sound like, when I interview musicians like yourself, like it was overnight.
Well, no, it wasn't overnight. I have a couple opinions about it. Number one, before I got the Guns N' Roses gig as a guitar player, I was a Virgin songwriter, Virgin Records songwriter. And so I knew a lot about what new projects were coming up. So I heard the Nirvana record before it came out. And I go, "Oh my God, it's a really good record." But I didn't think of it as grunge. You could obviously tell it wasn't a rock record, like a hard rock record. I just kind of thought it was, almost like, what Green Day was. It's kind of like pop punk rock is kind of what I thought it was when I heard it. So when grunge first came in, first of all, I was in Guns at the time. It didn't affect us. We were playing stadiums, sold out stadiums. It affected us later. I'd say it affected us later, like when I did my first solo record, when Slash did Slash's Snake Pit. The environment had changed a little bit, a little harder dealing with radio. And I remember when I put out my first record, Pawn Shop Guitars, my song Cure Me or Kill Me was doing incredibly well at radio, but I couldn't break over that song Black Hole Sun. It was always Black Hole Sun #1 and Cure Me or Kill Me #2. And that's when I started really noticing the climate change.
Wow. Yeah. So I was actually going to ask the moment that you remember first hearing Smells Like Teen Spirit. It sounds like you heard that whole thing, way before other people.
Yeah, I did. And to be honest, that song didn't even stick out to me. I mean, I really didn't. It didn't until later on when the videos and stuff came out. But, I heard the complete record, and I thought it was a fantastic record. It sounded really good. Records didn't sound like that back then. So that's what I thought was unique.
You're not the first person I've interviewed to say that. Other people from your era, of music have also said, when I heard it, I thought it was great. Even some of the quote unquote hair metal musicians I've talked with, they're like, we had no idea it would have anything to do with what we were doing. Just
Yeah.
oh, that's a cool sounding, kind of rock record.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And to be honest, I was getting a little bored of some of the music that was coming out. It's like as someone who produces records and I enjoy the sonic aspects of records, I was getting a little tired of the same old snare drum on every record and solo. It was getting old, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, you were, of course, on one of the most legendary rock tours of all time, the Use Your Illusion tour. So I have to ask about that. What is your, biggest memory from that run?
Well, once again, as I was saying, I have a terrible memory. But I remember there were so many highlights. And the good thing about time is you tend to let the shitty stuff go. And I do. I don't hold grudges. I mean, I try not to hold grudges, but I mean, the Freddie Mercury tribute concert for me was a huge highlight. When we did that, for me, it was my first time being in England, and I got to meet so many of my heroes like David Bowie and Mick Ronson. I mean, I stood on the side of the stage with Joe Elliot and watched Mick Ronson and David Bowie do Heroes together. We were the only two on the side of the stage. And I got to be friends with Mick Ronson from that show. I think when GN'R went to South America for the first time, especially Buenos Aires, that was just mind-blowing. I mean, we were like the Beatles down there. I mean, we had thousands of fans outside our hotel every day. We couldn't go outside without a full security time. Like even me, I'm not Slash, I'm not Duff. It was incredible. It really restored your faith and passion for music, because I've never felt that passion the way that the South American fans really felt that passion. So there are so many highlights.
Well, we've lost some amazing musicians over the years, especially as of late. And I'm wondering, is there one that kind of hit you more than the others?
Wow, that's an interesting question. Let me think about that. I'm going to say, which one surprised me? Because some of them didn't really surprise me, but I gotta say, on all honesty, Michael Jackson really kind of took me, because I worked with Michael Jackson. I didn't work with him the way Slash worked with him, but he was such a kind soul. Look, I know he had problems. We all have problems, but it just, sometimes people make mistakes, man, and it just, that one kind of hit home for me. That was really sad.
Yeah, no, I feel you there. For me, it was Chris Cornell. I was
Mhm.
really surprised by that. Well, and I'm in the Detroit area, so he passed away after that Fox Theater Detroit show. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all of them, Chester, we just played shows with Chester just a month or two before that. So, I mean, he always was such an upbeat person, the Chester that I knew, he just had such a great positive, strong, healthy, vibe, so that one was, look, there's so many, it just, they all hit hard.
yeah. So is there anything new with Kings of Chaos?
Yeah, so we last year, unfortunately, we had a lot of Kings of Chaos dates for last year. We had quite a few dates in the summer and fall, and in the beginning, everything got postponed just to get canceled later. So we're trying to put some of those dates together right now. We actually have our first show is in June in New Mexico, and I know that we're trying to put a couple more together right now. So I'm excited about that always.
Yeah, I'm starting to hear that music is actually really coming back this time, the live music and even touring on a large scale. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's going to be a while before you're going to see full tours, because it's still spotty. My band, we just did our very first shows 2 weekends ago. We played 2 shows in St. Louis. First time we've played during this whole thing since it started. We have offers, but most of our offers are for fall. And the hardest thing is trying to string dates together. So I don't know if you're really going to see many bands going out on a full, 6-week, 2-month bus tour, plane tour. I think that's still going to be, towards the end of the year.
Do you think that when live music is back, that it's going to go back to how it was, where people are just, shoulder to shoulder enjoying the music, or do you think it'll be kind of weird and different at first?
I think it's going to go back to the way it was. I really do. I think you'll find I think what it is there'll be some people that are still cautious, and that cautiousness will be more acceptable. I mean, just remember when you're on the airplane, when you would see a person with a mask on, you kind of giggled, but now you're not going to get that giggle. It's going to go, okay, that person just wants to be careful, and you understand it. And I think it's the same thing with concerts and stuff. I mean, one of the best things that's come from this is we've all been in all those dirty rock clubs, so maybe they all got washed during this.
That's a great point. Probably cleaner than ever.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, some of those airplanes really need a hose down. So, yeah.
That's great. So what is next for you the rest of the year? Do you plan on doing some tour dates with the solo project?
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, I always do dates with my solo band, whether I have a record or not. But we're definitely, I think what's nice about having a new record is, people start thinking about you a little bit more for maybe a festival. I certainly hope we can get some more dates together. I know you have some Kings of Chaos dates coming up. I enjoyed the process of recording music so much. I've been recording again, which has been nice. I mean, there's nothing planned, but it's been nice to get back in the studio and recording again.
Yeah. Are you recording solo stuff or with other people?
I don't know. I just record music. I don't know what, even doing the solo record, I don't sit down and go, I want to make a solo record. I write songs, I record them. And then when I start getting a bunch together, I go, all right, let's make a solo record or let's make a band record. I honestly don't know.
They'll find a home somewhere.
Exactly.
Well, Gilby, it's been awesome chatting with you. Congrats on the new record. Is there anything else that you want to add?
Once again, I'm happy that the record is out. It's been a long time in the making. I'm happy with the results. I'm happy that people get it. Sometimes you make music and people just don't get it. And I think we're connecting. So I'm pretty happy.
It's a great album. So I know that everyone I know loves it. And I know that there are many people out there who do.
Right on, man. I appreciate that.